What's going on, everybody? Today we got ourselves our World Cup predictions. The draw was today for the 2018 World Cup in Russia, and we're just going to run through our predictions. These are obviously very early predictions, and a ton can change from here till now, or from here till then. So we'll be doing one now, and then when the World Cup is just about to start, we'll probably do another one based on injuries and things like that, because every year there are injuries and form and other things of that nature. So we're just going to jump right into our predictions if it happened today, in my opinion. Obviously this is all my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, how you guys think the World Cup's going to turn out. Follow me on Twitter for updates and other things of that nature on my other videos. But guys, for now, let's jump right into it. Here, Group A, we've got the hosts, Russia, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. The game of Group A, in my opinion, Egypt, Uruguay. I think that's going to be the best game. I think these are the two best teams in the pot, in the group at least. I think Egypt's the best in form. I think Uruguay are always capable. Cavani, Suarez up front, always capable of scoring goals. I think that's the game to watch. If you were to watch one game from the group, I think it'd be that game. And most important game of Group A, Russia, Egypt. I think really this will decide a lot in this group. I think Egypt, for me, I think they're going to beat Arabia, so I think this can at least determine second place, if not for Egypt first place. I mean, this is a huge game, and the hosts, Russia, really want to get out of the group, so it's a big game for them. But I think with what's on the line, I think this is the most important of all the games in Group A. So best player in Group A on form right now, I think, is Mohamed Salah, scoring tons of goals at Liverpool. I know Suarez is normally the best player most places he ends up being, but right now, based on form, I think Salah is, or Salah, however you want to say it, is the best player in the group as of right now. And the most important player in Group A, to me, Luiz Suarez. I think he's the most important player coming into the group. If he's on form, then Uruguay are going to win the group. It could be that simple. He changes games just like that. And then, yeah, I think those are the two best players also in the group. So let's jump into the scores, how I think this is going to turn out. Russia host Saudi Arabia to start. 1-0, I think I like Russia to win their opening game. Egypt, Uruguay, I like 1-1. I think they're both pretty evenly matched. Uruguay sometimes don't seem to show up when it comes to goal scoring. I mean, they show up at World Cups and they show up at tournaments, but what I mean is showing up is that the goal scoring sometimes doesn't always show up. They win a lot of games 1-0, and I think Egypt can nick a goal here and get a draw. Egypt 2, Russia 0. I really like Egypt. I think they're quite good, but I think people, just because Russia the host nation, they give that little bit to Russia, but I think Russia are pretty poor, in my opinion. I don't think they're very good. They play too slow. Egypt can, I mean, if Russia hold on to the ball, they better be aware of that counterattack. Egypt can move, and Egypt can counter, and Egypt can do a lot of things up front. So, I mean, if Russia aren't going to score any goals, which they have a hard time doing, they're going to have a hard time with Egypt. So I like Egypt to win that game 2-1. Uruguay playing Saudi Arabia 2-1. I like Saudi Arabia are a nice story getting to the World Cup, but I think they're going to be the whipping boys of this group. Uruguay get 2 early goals, and then Saudi Arabia pull a late consolation. And then we'll jump up. Egypt 3, Saudi Arabia 0. That's another one of those things. Saudi Arabia last game, they're already out. I think they'll be flying forward a little bit, and I think Egypt on the counterattack with the pace they have up front will score a couple of goals. 3-0, and then Uruguay 1, Russia 0. This will be a tight game as both teams try to advance, pick up points. Uruguay, in their case, trying to finish top the group. Russia trying to send themselves off to the home nation, but I think Uruguay win this 1-0. I don't think Russia breaks through the Uruguay defense, and I think Uruguay can nick a goal here and there. So 1-0. So that leaves the table as it is. Egypt top, 7 points, 5 goal difference. Uruguay, 7 points, 2 goal difference. and then Russia on 3 and Saudi Arabia on 0. So that's how I think Group A turns out. Let me know how you guys think. Group B, we got Portugal, Spain, Iran, Morocco. Game of the group, obviously Portugal, Spain. That's what a lot of people think is the game of the group stage. Not for me really, but definitely game of the group. And then the most important game for me is Iran and Portugal, and we'll get into that a little bit later on why I think that's the game of the group, or the most important group game, and we'll get down to it when I go through my scores. But I think that's the most important game in the group. Best player in the group, Ronaldo. A lot of people think he's the best player in the world. Definitely the best player in this group. Spain have a ton of good players, but Ronaldo on form is definitely on par with Messi, if not better, depending on how you think about it. And the most important player will be Cristiano Ronaldo. When it comes to tournaments, he's not as great. The surrounding cast isn't as great, and he kind of slows down a little bit. When I said he's the best player in the group, he is. And when I also said on form, and when he plays for Portugal, he doesn't seem to be on form. But they've been playing around with him a little bit in qualifying, where he plays and other things of that nature, up front, out left. So we'll see if he's at this tournament and he's ready to go and he's scoring. They're going to be a really tough out. Defending Euro champions already a tough out, but if they're scoring goals on top of not conceding, which they didn't do at the World or at the Euro, they could win the whole thing if they wanted to. But yeah, most important player, best player in the group. Here we go. We'll start off Morocco and Iran 0-0. Morocco haven't been in a World Cup in a long time. Iran were at the last World Cup, but Iran have a pretty cool story. They've gotten here conceding very, very few goals. Very few goals, and that's kind of important. We'll get to it, but 0-0 I like. Opening game, early jitters, two countries that are kind of just hoping to get a couple points on the board. I like 0-0. Spain, Portugal 1-1. Spain like to hold on to the ball. I think they hold on to the ball. They normally get their goal when they're playing that way, but Portugal are good for a counter-attacking goal. I don't think Spain are going to score more than one. Portugal don't concede very many, and if Portugal can nick a goal, I like a 1-1 draw. Portugal, Morocco 1-0. As I said, Portugal, they aren't scoring too many a lot of the times when it comes to these big tournaments, and they won the last tournament by drawing a lot of games, a lot of 0-0s, a lot of 1-0s. Another 1-0 here. Spain, Iran. Iran will sit deep, and Iran will try and counterattack, but Spain know how to break through those teams that sit deep. They'd be really good against teams that sit 10 men behind the ball. So I like 2-0 though. Grab a goal, maybe grab a goal late. 2-0 Spain. And here's the group, or the most important game of the group for me, and it's Iran-Portugal. Now, when I think about Portugal and I think about their lack of goals, if you want to call it that, and Iran's tough defense that concedes very little. They concede very little in a group they came out of where they were favorites, depending on how you looked at it last time, come out of Asia. So I think even when they don't concede and they're playing open and holding on to the ball, I think if they've got 10 men behind the ball, which I think they'll play against Portugal, they're going to be super tough to break down. And the way Portugal play, I'm not sure they can grab that goal every single time. So I like 0-0 here, actually. I like Iran to kind of sneak a point off the Euro champions there. And then Spain, Morocco, 3-1 I like to Spain. Spain will be playing with the top of the group on the line. Morocco playing for a bit of pride here. I think Morocco will be more open. That'll give a couple opportunities to Spain to win 3-1. Here's the table how I like at the end. Spain on 7 points, Portugal on 5 points, Iran on 2 points, Morocco on 1 point. Spain through as winners, Portugal's runners up. Group C, France, Australia, Peru, Denmark. Game of the group, Denmark and France. I think France are the best team in the group, and Denmark are a lot of fun to watch. They can score goals, and they can score goals on top teams. They put 5 past Croatia in qualifying. That's no easy feat. A lot of goals in this Denmark team, and France, one of the favorites to win the whole thing here. I think that's the game of the group. Most important game, Denmark-Peru. I think To me, this is a game for second place. Winner can take all right there. Winner can advance. Loser can go home. It's that simple when it comes to this player. Best player Group C, Christian Eriksen. There are very few players of his caliber, and he's been playing super well, and he's always played well for Denmark. He's always scoring goals. I think it's 7 in his last 8 now for Denmark. Always scoring goals. Most important player Group C, Paul Pogba. Pogba's going to have to gel this team together. He's going to have to link the back to the front, and if he's not on, then France are not on, and they go through those droughts sometimes where they don't score goals. All of a sudden things start to fall apart. France are always very fragile, so if Pogba can keep everything together, they can have a good tournament. Now into the results. France 4, Australia 1. Australia, I don't know, they concede early sometimes and then they let it go and try and come out. They're very brave, but sometimes a little bit foolish. But I like France 4-1. Here's the game of our most important game. Denmark 2, Peru 0. I like Peru. I think they're a pretty good team. I think they got put in an unfortunate group here. I think Denmark scores a lot of goals, and Peru chasing, I'm not sure that's a good recipe for them. I like Denmark 2-0. France 2-1 over Peru. That's another game. I think France hold on to the ball a little bit there. Peru might nick one and then sit back and hold on, try and protect. But I think if France score first, Peru have a very tough time coming back. I like France 2-1. And then Denmark 3, Australia 1. Australia have a tough time keeping this Denmark team out. I'm telling you, 3-1 to Denmark. And then the last couple games here, Peru 2, Australia 1. I find it hard to believe Peru are going to come to this tournament and get no points. I like them to beat Australia. And then France 3, Denmark 2, and what should be the game of the group to me last. They're both looking to just come in first place, but it's not too much of a worry. 3-2 France. And that'll leave the table looking like this. France at 9 points, Denmark at 6 points, advancing 1 and 2 respectively. Peru on 3, Australia on 0. Now Group D, Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. Game of the group, Argentina, Nigeria, who seem to play every World Cup now. And there's always goals. Is really looking forward to this game. And then most important game of the group, Nigeria, Croatia. A lot of people think this will be battle of second place. I think it'll be, I think it might be bigger than that. I think it really could be bigger than that. But we'll go into the scores and we'll see where everybody ends up. Croatia 1, Nigeria 2. There's something about this Nigeria team that I really like, the pace. But they seem to move the ball a little bit better. Watching some of them in qualifying it's really nice to watch. They really do move the ball around nicely, and the pace is just devastating. They always have the pace. But with the ball movement, it's actually something else. They seem to have that little bit of an edge at them. And I like them to beat Croatia 2-1. Croatia seem to come to tournaments and kind of underperform with the players they've got. Modric, Kovacic, Pjanic. Oh, not Pjanic, sorry. Who am I thinking of? I'm missing a midfielder there. Kovacic and Modric at least. Mandzukic up front. I mean, there are a lot of good players here on this Croatia team, and they always seem to underperform, and it's a shame really, but I like Nigeria to win this game. Argentina 1, Iceland 0. Argentina Iceland reminds me of Argentina Iran when it came around last year. Iceland are going to sit back and they're going to fight and they're going to push, but I think Argentina just nick it 1-0. Nigeria 2, Iceland 0. I really like this Nigeria team. I think the pace can break through this Iceland defense, especially if they're sitting back. We'll see how they are going forward when it comes to it, but I like Nigeria to win this game 2-0. Argentina, Croatia 1-1. Argentina, I don't know how well they're going to do at this World Cup. They just snuck into this World Cup in general, but it seems like no one's figured out, or all the coaches they've had there, no one's figured out how to gel Messi with the rest of the team, and they're always disjointed. And for Argentina to do well, the rest of the team's got to pick up the slack. I don't know if they can right off the bat. Argentina 1, Croatia 1. Game of the group, Nigeria 3, Argentina 3. These games are always entertaining. I like them to draw. I think these are the two best teams in the group in the end. And then Croatia, Iceland. I think Iceland are going to gain a point, when they come to this World Cup. I mean, they've always got the spirit. It's hard to deny them a point. 0-0, I like Croatia, Iceland. This leaves the table like this. Nigeria 7, Argentina 5, Croatia 2, Iceland 1. Nigeria advances winners, Argentina second. Group E, Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, Serbia. Game of the group, Switzerland, Serbia. I think Brazil are going to waltz through this group, so I think the battle for second place to me would be Serbia, Switzerland, both good teams, but I think that's the most important group, or most important game as well. The Brazil games I think could be over pretty quickly, almost all of them, so if I were to cut out all those games, I like Switzerland, Serbia to be the most important here. I think the battle for second place comes between them two. Best player in the group, Neymar, having a good year at Paris. Always one of the better players in the world as of late. Most important player of the group, Xherdan Shaqiri. If he is on, Switzerland are tough to beat. They don't concede very, very many. And if Xherdan Shaqiri is pulling the strings, scoring goals, they'll be a tough out as well. Opening game, Brazil 2, Switzerland 0. There's something about this Brazil team where they seem like they're on a mission. I think they're going to waltz through this group. Switzerland had a tough time with Northern Ireland getting into it. A contentious penalty, really. I mean, they dominated the second game. They probably should have advanced, or they probably should have scored a goal or two, but they didn't. But I don't know. Sometimes they seem with goals. Sometimes they don't get all the goals they should. They don't score too many. It seems like they go through droughts. I like Brazil 2-0. I like Serbia here 1-0 over Costa Rica. Costa Rica were a really nice story last time around. Won the group with a tough group. England, Italy, and Uruguay. So they're no joke. But I don't know. Their qualifying seemed underwhelming to me. And I think Serbia can nick it here. They breezed through qualifying Serbia. I don't know. I think Serbia wins this game 1-0. It's going to be low scoring. I mean, Costa Rica's goals, especially last World Cup when they were playing some tougher defenses, which Serbia are, I think a lot of their goals were kind of iffy. They had that one that rolled way in, that Byron Ruiz strike that just rolled. And then they had that nice header against Italy. I don't know, it seems like they're very opportunity oriented. They don't get very many opportunities, but they tend to put one or two away. I like Serbia to keep control of that and win that game 1-0. Brazil, Costa Rica, as I said with Brazil, I think Costa Rica can keep it close. Navas and goal can really keep it close, but Brazil get themselves a couple of goals, and Costa Rica have a hard time scoring. I think 2-1 to Brazil. Serbia and Switzerland, this just has 0-0 written all over it, doesn't it? Two good defenses, two offenses, attacking forces that don't score too many goals. I like this game 0-0. Brazil 2, Serbia 0. Another game that just same as the first one. I think Brazil, Switzerland is 2-0. I don't know. I can't see another result. I really can't. Serbia, if they hold out long enough and they start to grow into it late, but I like Brazil to win this 2-0. And Switzerland, Costa Rica. Costa Rica aren't going to come here and not gain any points. They're too good for that, and they're too good defensively for that. I like this 1-1. So that means Brazil at 9 points, winners. Serbia at 4 points, runners-up. Switzerland 2, Costa Rica 1. Group F, which is the group of death to me, Germany, Sweden, Mexico, South Korea. Game of the group, Sweden, Germany. They're always producing really fun games. They're very recently a 4-4 a couple of years back. Always fun games. I'm looking forward to this one. And most important game, Mexico, Sweden. I think this can determine who comes second place behind Germany. Best player of the group, Toni Kroos. He keeps that Germany side ticking. Everything goes through him. Everything in midfield goes through him. He slows things down. He can see the pass, and he knows when to just get rid of it, even if it keeps it sideways and not going forward. He's a very, very bright player and very important to a machine like Germany. Most important player, Guillermo Ochoa, goalkeeper, Mexico. If he had the tournament he had last time, they're going to be a tough out. But let's start off with the results. I like Germany over Mexico 2-0. Sometimes Germany, they just overpower opponents, and that's how I feel they're going to do with Mexico. Just hold on to the ball, move it around, crosses in. It seems like a 2-0 for Germany here. Sweden, South Korea. Sweden here are like, I don't know how to describe it. They're a very long team, and they're still adapting to playing without Ibrahimovic, I feel. When you watch them there, they're very good defensively. They can keep teams off the board, but the goal scoring is still needs to come a little bit. But I like them and South Korea to draw 1-1. South Korea have a couple good players here. Heung-min Son is playing on Tottenham right now. He's always been their catalyst. Had a good World Cup last time around. I like them. Excuse me, I like this game to finish 1-1. Germany 2, Sweden 2. As I said, these two are always playing entertaining games. And Germany normally don't go 9 for 9 when it comes to World Cups. There's always something in there. They had Ghana last time around. Draw then. 2010. I mean, very rarely do teams go through 9 points. I like Germany, Sweden to finish 2-2. Mexico, South Korea. This game seems like a game tailor-made for Mexico. Both teams play similar styles. I think Mexico will hold on to the ball a little bit more and have more opportunities running at the South Korea defense. 3-1 Mexico. Germany, South Korea. I think Germany are just too much for South Korea. 3-0. And then Sweden, Mexico, the most important game. I like this 1-1, but I think the way Sweden play, when they hold on to the ball, play defensively, I think if they can nick a goal, very, very, very difficult to nick one back. I think if they go 1-0 up, Mexico will have a hard time coming back and leveling the game up, and Sweden can very much go through second. But the way I have it here, Germany 7 points, Mexico 4 points, Sweden 3 points, South Korea 1 point. Group G, Belgium, England, Tunisia, Panama. I'm English. I'm an England fan, so try not to be biased here. Belgium, England, the game of the group. I think these two teams are going to waltz through this group, really. So battle for first place is how I feel here. Most important game of the group as well. Battle of first place. I think these two are both going to finish on at least 6. One will finish 6, one finish 9, or 7-7, however you want to call it. I think they beat up on the other two teams and winner take all. Last game of the group. Best player in the group, Kevin De Bruyne. He's so good. He can see a pass, he can score goals, everything all the time. At City, it ticks through him. At Belgium, it ticks through him too. He's just one of the best players in the world, definitely. Most important player of Group G, I think, is Harry Kane. If he picks up and he brings others into the play and he's scoring goals, he's one of the best players around. And if he can... One thing I've always seen with him in England and him in Tottenham is he doesn't bring... If he had one thing against him, he doesn't bring players into him as much as I'd like him to, especially at England. But if he can bring players around him into the game, bring them forward, I think that makes England better, and I think that's a better opportunity for him. All right, but we'll start off England 2, Tunisia 0. I think both these teams are going to waltz through this. I know England have hard times, and sometimes scoring goals is a tough time for them, but I think this is a good game to start off with and not Belgium. I think Panama... When they sit back, they're tough to score against. I think this is the perfect game to start off with. 2-0 England. And then Belgium 3, Panama 0. I think this is Panama's first World Cup. Very difficult to come up against a really good Belgium side, or Belgian side with really good players in it at least, and do well, gain a point. We'll see. 3-0. England 2, Panama 0. England get their goal scoring touch in the first game. Hopefully keep it going through the second. I like them to beat through Panama here. 2-0. Then Belgium 3, Tunisia 2. Belgium are always due a game where they underperform, it seems. Hopefully for them it doesn't come in the knockout stage, so I'll give it to them here. Belgium 3, Tunisia 2. Tunisia get 2. Keep it close, but Belgium nick it in the end. Panama 1, Tunisia 2. Tunisia did win their group coming out of Africa. Panama just snuck in after USA had failed to win their game and snuck ahead of Honduras. just a little bit there, but they are in the World Cup for the first time. But I think Tunisia will have a little bit too much. Panama, I know they're very defensive, but if they get behind early, I have a hard time believing they'll come back and force their way into some points. I like Tunisia 2-1. And then Belgium 2, England 0. This Belgian team has too many weapons, and I think England tend to give up a silly goal here and there. So we'll see. Belgium 2, England 0. I like them. 9 points, Belgium. England 6, Tunisia 3, Panama 0. Then the final group, another wide open group, Poland, Japan, Senegal, Colombia. Best game of the group, Poland, Senegal. I really like this Senegal team. They've got a lot of good players, and they can move the ball. They have attack with pace, and Poland, I think, are very tough to beat. They hold on to the ball. Their qualifying was excellent. Poland, Senegal, I think, is the best game of the group. Most important game, I think, Senegal, Colombia. There are a lot of good games in this group, aren't there? Most important, though, Senegal, Colombia. Poland get off with Senegal. If Senegal were to lose that game, then everything would come down to Senegal, Colombia. And that's what you like in an important game, right? Everything coming down to it. Senegal, Colombia. Best player of the group, Lewandowski. Unbelievable striker. Most important player of the group, James Rodriguez. He has to link Colombia up. He's got to play really well for Colombia to get out of this group. This is a really tough group, and they really need to be aware to get out of this group. He's got to be playing well. His Madrid career has gone up and down. His Colombia career cannot go up and down. He needs to play really well for them to get out of the group. Here I like Poland 2, Senegal 1. I'm so tempted to give another goal to Senegal here, but I like Poland. I like the way they went through qualifying. They seem very composed. They have a striker who can make something out of nothing. 2-1 to Poland. Colombia 3, Japan 1. Seems like a repeat of the last World Cup. James Rodriguez took over. That game finished 4-1. I like this game. 3-1 to Colombia. Poland 2, Japan 0. Japan had a really tough time qualifying. Didn't qualify with the ease that other people thought they would. Poland, on the other hand, I think are just better. 2-0. Colombia 2, Senegal 1 in the game of the group. Colombia have been here before. As I said, I'm really tempted to give Senegal another goal here, but experience sometimes, better players. We'll see if Senegal can nick a goal early on the counterattack, but I don't know. Colombia 2, Senegal 1. Poland, Colombia 1-1. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched along with Senegal. I think this is a really even group, to be honest. But I like this game 1-1. Last game of the group. No one wants to overly outdo themselves or overly exert themselves. They're both through at this point. It's kind of just hold back and not give too much. 1-1. And then Senegal 3, Japan 1. They're not going to... I really don't think Senegal are going to come here and not gain points. I really like them to beat Japan 3-1. They need some points here. Colombia on 7 points, 3-goal difference. More goals scored puts them at the top. Poland 7 points, 3-goal difference as well. Out on goals scored, so they're second place. Senegal 3 points, Japan 0. So we'll move into the knockout round, and this is the way it works out. Portugal, Egypt. Best player, Cristiano Ronaldo. Most important player, Mohamed Salah. If Portugal are going to sit back, we'll see, but I think they hold more of the ball, and I think this is Egypt's turn to sit back. This is why Salah is so important. If he's playing well and they get the counterattack and they're moving the ball well, they're going to be trying to get themselves a counterattacking goal and hold on to a 1-0. But this game seems tailor-made for Portugal. They hold on to the ball. The defense is good. I think they can defend the counterattack well, and they think they can nick a goal. Portugal 1, Egypt 0. Game number 2, France and Argentina, 2 heavyweights. Best player is obviously Messi. Most important player, I think, is going to be his strike partner, Higuain or Sergio Aguero. Depending on who they may play both. But as you remember in 2014, a better striker up front, not better, but a more clinical one than Higuain, and they win the World Cup, in my opinion. So I think the striker is super important. This team needs to gel to go further into this World Cup. I don't know if they can do it. I like France 1-0 after extra time. Game 3, Brazil, Mexico. Best player is Neymar. Most important is Ochoa. As you remember last time around, this game finished 0-0 because of Ochoa. Whether he can repeat those heroics, we'll see. Brazil 3, Mexico 1. Game 4, Belgium, Poland. This is a pretty even game to me. Best player, Kevin De Bruyne. What more can I say about Kevin De Bruyne? Most important player, Toby Alderweireld. If him and Vertonghen can hold on to Lewandowski and keep him away from Courtois, they have a really good chance of qualifying here. But I like this one to go to penalties. This one has 0-0 written all over it for me. Belgium advance on penalties. Just too many flair players there to not go through on penalties. Game 5, Spain and Uruguay. Best player for me is still Suarez. I know his form's not great as of right now, but he's coming into it a little bit. I think he's still the best player on the pitch. David Silva, the most important player. He seems like he's going to be pulling Spain's strings from here. Iniesta's getting a little bit older. David Silva is such a great player, and he pulls strings at City. I think he can do it at Spain too. Spain 2, Uruguay 1. I like that game to finish that way. This is the time where Uruguay's goal-scoring problems tend to come around. Cavani doesn't score too many at this level when it comes to World Cups, and we'll see if PK can keep Suarez quiet. I like Spain to advance 2-1. Game number 6, Nigeria-Denmark, which is going to be a really fun game if it should happen. Best player, Christian Eriksen. Most important player, Christian Eriksen. Now, this game's going to be really open, I think. Nigeria have the pace to keep it open, and Denmark have the attacking flair to keep this way open. So Christian Eriksen's going to need to link the front and be able to track back. If he's not tracking back, if everyone at Denmark's not tracking back, Nigeria will rip that back line apart. Same goes the other way. If you're not tracking back on Denmark, they'll rip you apart just passing the ball around, whether it's not with speed but with precision. But I like Nigeria to win this game 3-2 after extra time. I just think the pace is too much for that Denmark back line. We'll see. If this game were to happen, it'd probably be the one I'm looking forward to most in this stage. Game 7, Germany-Serbia. This is a very close game. It seems like Serbia are just going to sit back and Germany are going to hold on to the ball. Toni Kroos, best player. Most important, Ivanovic. He's going to have to keep that defensive line intact. They're going to have 10 behind the ball almost all game. It's so important that the captain keeps everything tight. Otherwise, they're going to have a real issue containing Germany. I like Germany win this game 3-0. Game number 8, England and Colombia. Best player, Harry Kane for me. Most important, James Rodriguez once again, who's going to need to have a really good tournament for Colombia to go really far. I like Colombia to win this 5-3 on penalty, well 1-1, but 5-3 on penalties. I think this game goes the distance. I think they both nick a goal. But I don't know. This seems kind of shaky. I feel like this can go either way. But I like Colombia to advance in the end. So, into the last 8. Portugal, France, a repeat of the Euro final, which Portugal won. Best player, Cristiano Ronaldo. Most important player, Cristiano Ronaldo again. If he is not on form, I have a hard time believing Portugal are going to beat this French team. And I imagine a lot of people said that last time, but I'm going to say it again. I really like France to win this game 1-0. This is going to be tight. It was a really nice strike from me there, but that's what it took to beat France, to actually score against France. I like France to nick a goal this time around. 1-0. Number 2, Brazil, Belgium. Best player, Neymar. Most important player, David Luiz. And I say that because Belgium have a ton of attacking talent. And if David Luiz is moving around, coming up into midfield, leaving gaps at the back, if he were to give the ball away up at midfield, leave De Bruyne and Hazard and Lukaku on a break, that's devastating stuff. So if David Luiz is disciplined, I think Brazil move on 2-1. Game number 3, Spain, Nigeria. This one I think is a bad matchup for Nigeria. Best player, David Silva. Most important, Gerard Piqué. Piqué is going to need to be back holding off the speed of this Nigeria team here. But I think Spain, the way they play, holding on to the ball. They can't let Nigeria come out on the counter, but they tend to hold on to the ball, move the ball around, try and open up this Nigeria team that's not used to sitting back and defending. I like them to win 1-0. And the final game, Germany, Colombia. Best player, Toni Kroos again. Most important, Thomas Müller. He's always scoring goals at World Cups. This game will be tight. So he's very important. If he can get a goal or two, he really put Germany in a nice place. Anytime Germany score, it's very difficult to come back and deal with them. If Germany get an early goal, Müller with some clinical finishing that she always brings to World Cups, I think Germany get this one 2-0. Into the semifinals, France, Brazil. Best player, Neymar. Most important, Pogba. Same reasons as before. There's a lot of attacking talent here, but there's also some vulnerabilities in defense at Brazil. If Pogba can link the defense and the attack, France are very difficult to beat. I like them to outscore Brazil here 2-1 and move on to the World Cup final. Germany, Spain, the other final, or the other semifinal. Toni Kroos, David Silva once again. But this seems like a Germany thing. I didn't want to bring Spain this far, to be honest. I thought Spain got some good matchups when it came to how I thought the World Cup would play out here, but I don't think Spain are good enough for a final right now. Germany, the machine, they'll hold on to the ball. Spain will try and hold on to the ball, but I think Germany does a little bit better as of this moment. They got better midfielders as of right now. I think they nick one 1-0, and that moves us on to the World Cup final. Germany, France. Best player, Toni Kroos. Most important player, Koscielny. Now, Germany are going to hold on to the ball for me. Now, I thought this game played, which was pretty recently. I don't think it wasn't the Euro. It was the World Cup before, where Germany beat them 1-0. I think it was the World Cup before. Germany beat them 1-0 on an early set piece, Hummel's goal. I like this to go the other way around. I like France to nick a goal here. This Germany-France game kind of has 0-0 written on it. Maybe some extra time, maybe some penalties, but this game is going to be super, super tight. But France's attacking talent, a bit on the break. They can play with pace on the break. Griezmann, Dembele. I think they can nick a goal on the break and win the World Cup here in Russia 1-0. So as of right now, France is my winner. Highlight that up. France is my winner. 1-0. I think they're going to win this World Cup in Russia. I like a European team to win this World Cup in Russia. It's a lot to travel up here for and play in this kind of area for a South American team. It's always difficult coming to Europe. It's always difficult going to a different continent and winning the World Cup. Germany defied everything to go ahead and win it in South America last time around. I like a European team to come back and win a European World Cup. France to win this 1-0. And Golden Boot, Neymar. I think Brazil is going to score a bunch of goals, and I think he'll be at the center of most of them. That's just it. I don't have any analysis or anything like that. But guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me how you feel in the comment section down below. Follow my Twitter, as I said. Check out my other videos if you're interested in that sort of stuff. But guys, that's it for now. Hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for more. Peace.